question is stupid. No matter how many times you ask it, the point is you get clarity and you understand it. And then your curiosity is driven towards finding solutions. Business can be absolutely cutthroat. Yeah. Sometimes you'll be asked to do things that you don't think is right. But then you add empathy and you say, okay, let me try and figure out why you engage with your customers. Even the journey that you're mapping from A to B is a story from chapter 1 to the end, and everybody wants to get to the end. Yeah. So storytelling is super important.
I'm super excited to have you back again. So, in this episode, like in this conversation, let's say I want to talk about like the important skills to have as a designer. You've been 15 years in the industry, you mentored people, and you did shift multiple teams, industries, but there have to be some core skills that are important, either technical or soft skills, whichever thing. Applying 80-20 rule from your experience, what do you think is the most important skills? Or how many are there? What are the skills? How many are there? And why are they important? Let's begin with the first question. What are the most important skills you think?
So the most important skills can be divided into buckets. Yeah. There's technical skills and there's soft skills. Yeah. From a technical perspective, I would say one of the most important ones is being able to prototype. Prototyping, bit of being honest, as a bit of interaction is very good to explain to our tech team what's expected and the kind of interaction we want, adding a bit of delight. If at all, if you're adding stars or hearts or something, or even the way that if somebody adds something to their favorite, the heart just fills up. It's just adding a bit of fun. Now, from a stakeholder perspective, it gives them a sense of how you're improving the interaction with the journey and how you're trying to get buy-in. Just showcasing your screens on a Figma, going next on your file, is not going to bode well when you're talking to stakeholders. It's easier for them to try it out. Either you can share the Figma link, or you can also get a mobile link if you're doing a mobile app and send it to them, and they can check it exactly as it is on their mobile phones. And then when you add these interactions or little micro animations, it really adds a sense of value that, okay, this interaction is worth putting our money up against. For technical, like I said, it's easier for them to understand, but then they may actually come back and say, hey, look, maybe these stars are not really working. Let us also try a few different options. They can actually come back with something that's absolutely phenomenal that is probably not even out there in the market, and you'd be the first ones because we don't know the extent of abilities that a tech team can do. Just showcasing an idea to them from a prototyping perspective really helps. Yeah, that's the first one. The second one is build information architectures, for example. Info architectures are super helpful. It show how I like to approach info architecture is first, just designing a journey which is as is. So when I audit a journey, the first thing, instead of taking screenshots or adding screen by screen, or even jumping right into solutions, is to map out the exact journey as we have it. Then you see, okay, here's where the drop off is happening, and this is the area that we need to focus on. It becomes much easier to get buy in from stakeholders who, are all about the numbers. But when they see a journey and they see the numbers introduced within that journey, that this is a drop off, this area has the least amount of engagement, or people are not really converting from this point on, they want to go in and deep dive into it. So, an information architecture really helps from that perspective. As a designer, our job is to really improve the journeys of our users, right? To get them from point A to point B to be as frictionless as possible. But then, when you take the signed off architecture to the tech guys, they are going to take it and they're going to add in so many details as to how things are exactly going to work, to make that improvement. So you're giving them a preview of the journey as it is, as you want to improve, and they're going to use the as you want to improve journey to map out how they can actually go about implementing that. Explaining to our tech team on what we want to achieve even before the wireframes info architecture is super super helpful. I know a lot of designers jump through this and they just like, okay, I see this as a problem, this is the solution I want. No, it's always better to map out what is current and where you think the improvement needs to happen, and then map out a journey where the new info architecture takes you through. So that's the second one. The third one that I would say is data analysis. You guys, numbers are going to be so important in the future. And for you to be able to understand numbers and harness it to improve and to be able to suggest improvements in a language that your stakeholders in the company will understand is going to be a phenomenal way to improve your own career, your own path up the career ladder. Yeah, is not just taking in the numbers saying this is where it's happening, it also adds buy-in. So if you say from this point A to this point B, we've had, let's say, a 40% drop of engagement after we did the previous release. Okay, what went wrong? You're going to try and understand why the engagement is not happening. So you have to talk to your customers. You can talk to customer service who are maybe getting complaints that something is wrong over there. You could talk to your ECRM people because they, or you, if you have VW or any of these surveys that are set up to get information midway in that journey, to get feedback on what's really happening, and you collate all of this, make sense of it for yourself, then share it with your stakeholders, help them make sense of it, and see value in making an improvement in that area. Right now, any kind of input from a data point of view is like expected from a senior designer to just be able to understand a bit of numbers, for the lead to actually start utilizing the numbers available. Going ahead, that's going to change. As a junior designer or mid level designer, if you have any interest in numbers, in understanding the business aspect of UX, it's going to come in handy. So, those are the three main technical skills. From a personal skills, I would say you need to be super curious about everything that's happening. Yeah. From a business perspective, understand the KPIs of the company. What are they trying to achieve? Build out your own network of people that you can reach out to if you have any questions. No question is stupid. No matter how many times you ask it, the point is you get clarity and you understand it. And then your curiosity is driven towards finding solutions, or like you go, no, wait, I understand this, but I want to know what you guys think, and you schedule and you set up workshops that is very collaborative, gets everybody involved. The second part is to have an aspect of empathy. Empathy for your customers, empathy for your team members, empathy for your tech team who are going to really bust their behind trying to deliver all of what is expected within the limited time frame, and empathy even for your business. They have to make money. It's your job to ensure that the customers are happy while you're making the business money, right? So empathy on a whole lot of different levels. Empathizing with your customers, be it your, let's say, your tech team or the actual users of your product, brings about a sense of humanness, that you really care about them. Your business can be absolutely cutthroat. Yeah. Sometimes you'll be asked to do things that you don't think is right. But then you add empathy and you say, okay, let me try and figure out why you want to do this, and then you go and talk to your customers. Do you really think that doing something like this will impact the way you are product? And then you go back and say, you know what, customers do have a problem with this. Let's try and find a solution. Yeah, so these are the kind of things that I would really focus on. One another main personal skill that I would really like to dive into is storytelling. Guys, be it in presentations, be it workshops, be it in your own company show and tells, storytell. If you're not able to engage with your audience, you will not be able to engage with your customers. Even the journey that you're mapping from A to B is a story from chapter 1 to the end, and everybody wants to get to the end. Yeah? So storytelling is super super important.
So you said three technical skills and three
Mm-hmm.
personal skills, right? Prototyping, information architecture, reading numbers. Personal is curiosity, empathy,
Storytelling.
and the last one is storytelling. So let's twist it a bit, right? And it's very
Mm-hmm.
nice, like you gave a very brief overview of each skill and how it is implemented. So let's have a conversation. From your personal experience, can you give us a story where you applied all these six skills? I know you can't apply like separately, they're all mingled in a process. So can you define a problem? Then we both can dig into how you applied. So I can ask questions and you can like debrief it.
I'm going to start with curiosity. Yeah. In my previous
Mhm.
company, we had Adobe Analytics, we had PR reports, we had Content Square, yeah, as the data analysis platforms.
Mhm.
On these platforms, we could get a different insights into our journeys. So BI was very revenue driven. Adobe Analytics was very like journey oriented, but again revenue and engagement driven. Then Content Square would actually map out the entire journey and where people fell off. From this step, from the home page, they went to the hub page or they went to the product page. They went to search. How many people went into search? From search, where did they? So we used to get a whole analysis of this. Yeah. So that being said, in my previous company, just going through these, I noticed that people engaged with, we have a list and we had, so there were toggles between them. And the list was the main, it was the primary focus. And the map was like a secondary that we thought nobody engaged with. Yeah. So while people are looking for experiences that they want to do, they're of course browsing through the list. But on the app, we got to know that 8 out of 10 people engaged with the map. 8 out of 10. That's massive. Yeah. Now, if we say that we have hundreds of thousands of people coming onto the app trying to find experiences, 8 out of 10 is a bloody good number. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't have any stats beyond that, so I had to navigate myself into the web stats and then go, okay, so how many people engage with the map on the website? Okay, if these are the people, what's the revenue generated? Because we don't have that number for the app. Do we have it on the web? So curiosity kicks in. How much revenue are we making with people who are engaging on the map versus people just browsing experiences on the list?
And sorry, the quick question is like, what is this app about? What problem are you trying to
Ah,
solve? The context, I think I
okay,
missed a
so
bit.
this
Yeah.
was in my previous company, SmartBox. And SmartBox is an experience gifting app. Yeah. You imagine your birthday's coming up. Yeah. And for the past 6 months, you've been talking about wanting to go to Paris and you are excited about doing a hot air balloon over there because the series is amazing. Yeah. And you've been talking about it. So your birthday's coming. I know your birthday's coming. And I buy you a SmartBox gift box. Yeah. Which has which is specific to hot air balloon experience. And this box will house a multitude of partners, probably all across France. So you don't, if you choose not to go to Paris, you go to Lyon, we'll have experiences there probably. Yeah. I gift you this gift box for hot air balloon experience anywhere in France. You go to, let's say, Paris, you sign up with one of our partners, you don't pay a dime, and you go and experience the hot air balloon. And hopefully you love it so much that you come and buy another box for yourself or somebody else. Yeah. So this is all about, this is SmartBox. So the person buying the gift box, I'm the buyer. Yeah. You, the
Mm.
person who's receiving the gift box, is the beneficiary of the box. Yeah. So you received it. Now, this journey that I was just explaining was for the beneficiary. So imagine you have gone in, you've registered the gift box, and 3,000 partners, 3,000 results. So, how are you going to navigate yourself into exactly where you're going to be staying? Are there any partners around that? So, you don't need to travel a day or two just to go and do this experience. So, then this is where we have the list which you can scroll through the partners. And then we had the map. So you can actually zoom in and go, this is where I'm staying. These are the partners around me, around where I'll be staying. So that engagement is what I wanted to see because our primary view is of a list. The map was hidden within a toggle. So on the app, 8 out of 10 people used the floating button map toggle and went to the map view, even though it was at that time a shit experience on the map. It was very laggy, it was very cranky, it was super buggy, but people still used it. 8 out of 10 people used it. But we had no insight for the app as to how many people who actually use the map would go and convert. Yeah. But 8 out of 10 is too big a number to ignore. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what about the website? So I went on to Content Square, I went to I went on to Adobe Analytics, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So turns out people on the website as well who engage with the map have a average have a higher AOV, average order value, than people who engage with the list because they're finding experiences closer to where they are and they're willing to pay more for that. Yeah. So if they're willing to upgrade for a better experience because it's closer to where they are. Yeah. So in this, if I was like, wait, I'm not sure if I'm reading this right. Higher AOV for people who are engaging with the map? What? So then I go and reach out to our CRO lead. I reach out to my PO. I go, guys, I'm seeing this. Does it make sense? I don't think it's right. Help me make sense of these numbers. And then they're like, Pav, we think maybe it's onto something there. Yeah. And then okay, so now curiosity has now become a bigger thing, which is we know people are engaging, but it's a shit experience. And we know that without even having to talk to customers because we know the map was that bad. Yeah. But people are engaging with it. So then now the CRO validated what my findings, my PM validated my findings, head of UX chimed in. He's, oh, this makes sense. And then that is where then the data analysis was being infused in there. Then came the part of info architecture. So this is the current journey that we have. This is toggle A, and this is where we see a huge opportunity to improve customers' experience on the map while making money for the business. Like what? And then that just built out into okay, what is the potential here? What can we do to actually improve this? So then the wireframing and prototyping started because people don't know that the map is of that significance. Our users didn't know. So until we do a A/B test and showcase it to them, they won't be able to give us like unbiased opinion. Like only when they experience it will they know exactly how much better it is. So then we went on, built out wireframes, we tested them. We were doing unmoderated tests. We tried to do some live tests with our customers, but That's also a little problematic because not everybody shows up for each of the sessions. So, the numbers were really low. But for unmoderated, we got loads of feedback. We went back, iterated, tested, back, iterated, tested. All of this in a prototype format. We added a bit of finesse. We improved the map icon, trying to see how the zoom in, zoom out can be made better. Are the pins confusing? All of this needed also the stakeholder buy-in. So every step of the way, the stakeholders were involved, but every step of the way, my tech team were involved. Why? Because we're changing the entire damn functionality from being a list as the primary to making the map as the primary interaction. So they needed to be involved because they need to know what might be coming their way very soon. And they had brilliant ideas. They because those guys play around all the time and they use 100 million apps a day. So they actually know the best interactions. We took Google Maps as an example. We checked out like 15, 20 other map interactions. So the PO, the CRO, the entire product team, the CRM team, my tech guys, my own team, everybody was involved in the research. Everybody. Like we were able to build that and then get ideas together, brainstorm. I keep testing, keep iterating, and then we narrowed down on okay, this is the interaction. This is the best possible journey that we could come up. Everything is still current IA, current information architecture, new information architecture. Wireframes are secondary to that. So as we are improving the information architecture, we are also improving the wireframes while we are iterating. Yeah. And this kind of led to testing. You're like, okay, the our app users are not really interested in this kind of interaction. It's still really buggy. What can we do? They don't understand this little model with the experience details. Like, how can we improve it? Then we went, okay, we can't really A/B test on the app, but we could. Those are just the limitations that we had within the company, but we could test on the website. So then pick one country, do an A test for, let's say, 40% customers and a B test for 40, and then see what's happening. The other 20 don't need to be touched. So we are still getting data as for the current experience. So then testing A/B with live customers gave us insights. And then this really really interested the higher level stakeholders as to wait, there's a whole business model around highlighting the map for users. Like it is so important for them to find experiences that are not out there in another city. It's where they are, and probably, hopefully, within, let's say, 50 to 100 kilometers. Okay, that seems to be important. And that's also one thing that maybe not many, but some of our customers said. So maybe the search area should be within like 50 to 100 kilometers of where they are if they enable location services. Now, that's a new one. Until then, we didn't have enabling of location services. So now we know exactly where the user is. Yeah. We know where they are searching and what kind of experience they're searching. So it gives us a lot of insight and really drove the vision for the entire next year, where we wanted to bring forth the map interactions to be primary for beneficiaries. Because, girl, if you're traveling to Paris and you want to do a hot air balloon, we want to ensure that you get the best experience around and nearest to where you are, just so that you don't have to waste a whole day just traveling around trying to get to the experience.
So I have so many
Yes.
questions. So I'll ask one question at a. So initially, I'm assuming when you said the story, okay, there is a list. The smart box is about finding experiences while you travel, like a package deal or something. Like, I'll go for a hot air balloon. I want to explore
Okay.
these areas. Like, if I understood right, so basically, when you go to the website or app, there were two options for choosing the experiences based on area. right? If I say Paris, initially there is no location services. You have to enter your location where you want to find the experiences. Then it's going to give you like a huge list, like from a database.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a map thing. You can pinpoint on
Mm-hmm.
the map. It's going to give you the pit. So when you discovered like people are using the map, just
Mm-hmm.
challenging the idea, didn't you didn't you do like an UX audit? Like a classic principle is more options may overwhelm the user. If you see in the list like a list of options, they don't have the context. Didn't you do any hypothesis like the reason they switched to map view because they get much more context? Because if I say 50 kilometers away, it won't give much context and also there are overwhelming number of it's very hard to visualize the list. So did you make any hypothesis before digging into more research?
Hypothesis per se, no.
They
We
are using
found
maps.
why they're using maps. From a list perspective, the lists were really big. Each of our vignette was massive. So you'd see like probably 1 and 3/4 on a mobile screen. The images were big, which is good, but then there's also a lot of context. Everything needed to be upfront. Everything that, everything important, all of the information needed to be upfront instead of the focus primary information to be on the vignette, generate that interest for that particular experience and go and check out in the on the details page. No, everything was on the experience detail on the vignette itself. So we knew, and the vignettes had not been touched on since I had joined for 5 years. Like it's never been looked at. So it was exactly the same. So it's we all knew it was clunky. We all complained about it all the time. But the fact that people engaging with the map, if 8 out of 10 people are engaging with the map, obviously the one of the things that really came about in our own discussions was that the vignettes are too big. People are not able to deep dive into exactly what they're looking for. So our search on the list page was very location oriented, right? So even if you type in Paris, you could end up getting 3,000 experiences of partners in Paris. So how are you going to scroll through 3,000 of them? You cannot go into a single, let's say, a district or lane or an area within Paris and search around there. But if you go onto the map
Mhm.
and you have Paris, we zoom in to Paris, we show you the multitude of partners around there. And if you have location services enabled, we zoom in a little bit more and show you like within 50 to 100 kilometers. But this was the improvement. Initially, with the big vignettes, we had a chunky map which is zoomed out, kind shows all of Europe,
Mhm.
or at least at some point just focused on the country. But then you see all 3,000 pins. And you have to keep zooming in, and you have to keep zooming in, and you have to keep zooming in. And even with this frustration, people were engaging with the map because they really couldn't narrow down what they wanted, the kind of experience they wanted on the list. We knew already that the list wasn't the best. We needed to improve on it. But then getting to know that the map had higher engagement rate and the average order value was higher when people interacted with the map, made the business case for us, for stakeholders to say, you know what, yeah, go ahead and make this into a project, go and investigate further.
It seems as they say in the case, like if the interface is ugly, still generates value for the business. They
Nah, they
don't
don't
do
care. Like,
anything.
let's not fix
Huh.
what's not broken. But yeah,
Even
there's no business value in making that change.
so, I want to dig in. I want to ask you, like, I know, like, you got the analytics and all those stuff, and then you figured out, oh, okay, map, and you have to make a business case for it, right? You have to instill the analytics down, and when you get a budget buy-in, especially, how did you do that? Because You can get financial, but you also have to convince the resources. They don't care about the financial development. They have their own vision plan, engineering. If it doesn't fit in, they don't include it. So, how did you make a cross team like business case for it? How did you go
So
about it?
I would say this is not a one person initiative. Yeah. Yes, I started off with the research, just being curious and digging into the analytics platforms. But then I harnessed the knowledge and expertise of everybody around me. I got my CRO lead, I got my PO involved, I got my directors involved, I got my our head of UX involved. I'm reaching out to people to make sense. And these are the stakeholders. They know the business. Yeah, if it makes sense to them, they will help me also make a business case. And my PO did that really well. So because it's his job as the product manager to like build these kind of cases, but now we had the analytics to back it up.
How did you initially approach to get the buy-in? Because that's the most important thing, right? People say, yeah, how you have to motivate them sometimes. You have to say this is a priority, even they have a strong case. How did you approach that one?
Well, well, like I said, it's for a business case, it was all in the numbers. Yeah. 8 out of 10 people engaging with the map. Higher AOV when people engage with the map on the website, even though the website had millions of more users than the app, it was still higher average order when people interacted with the map. So when it comes to numbers, wherever you make a UX business case in a way that, is going to help our users or our customers find exactly the partners they want as quickly as possible. So instead of going through thousands of partners on the list, they're engaging with the map because it's easier to see. Now, how can we make the map more intuitive and easier? So then its location services comes into play. If you're searching for Paris, you had that in your search criteria. We zoom into Paris. These kind of interactions. So we're trying to also reduce the time that it takes people from A to B. We want them to be using less of search and interacting more with the map, focus exactly what they want. Maybe they'll take a day or two to go and discuss with their friends or their partners or family or whoever. And then they're going to make the booking. But the fact that if they usually take, let's say, 20 minutes to make that decision trying to find on the list, maybe we can do it in 5 minutes on the app. Like, let's just narrow down the results for them. Let's make it super easy for them to get to what they want to do. We got to know that people usually spend around 18 minutes, 20 minutes just on the app. What if we could narrow it down to just 3 or 4 minutes where they come in, they say, this is where I am, this is what I want to do, make a booking or what. That's great for business. Converting people like that, making use of the gift pouch that they have received, making the entire booking journey as seamless as possible. Quick A to B, job done. We will remind you when your experience is getting closer. Get it done. That's good for business. Customers are happy. The journey has been made much more simpler, much more easy for them to navigate through. And it's maybe, and when we also found out that people, when you make a journey easier, it also encourages people that if you showcase an upgrade for a price, they're willing to pay that extra money because I, as the buyer, have already bought the box. You don't need to pay anything to make the booking, but maybe you want a GoPro cam or you want some other perk and you're willing to add that upgrade to your experience, which is again good for business. So it really helps understand the psychology that balances our customers and the business needs. So making this business case just me, it was like a whole team effort because Even just the initial findings was enough to generate interest in a multitude of stakeholders to go away and do their own research as well and to validate the findings.
So wrapping it up, like how did it go? Or what's the success rate like?
It was delivered first on the web. But let me take a few steps back. These findings actually led to a whole new vision direction for UX improvement vision direction to improve our customer beneficiaries' journeys on the website and on the app. Yeah. We started first with testing on the website. We had amongst the best revenue generation days in the first few weeks of release. It showed that this idea has potential. Like the shift from a list to a map view has potential. But then it was not like, oh, no, wait, we have to just show the map. No, we went in, we had surveys put out, what's working, what's not working. If somebody's using the map and they try to leave, we're asking them why they're leaving and stuff. So getting that kind of insight also led to people wanting to still see the list and the map. So, okay, now how do we divide this up? You have a whole strategic vision of where you want the company to go. You have new KPIs set. You have a whole new UX direction to drive your team towards. But then also, how are you going to make it happen? So all of that planning, then you start taking steps back. You go, okay, this is phase zero. We're just going to start by highlighting the map first. Let's see what happens. Then we go, oh, we got feedback that people still want to see the list. Okay, let's try that. Let's have the list as a more minimized version, but let's keep the focus to be the map. Let's see how that works. Oh, it maybe this may not be optimum. Let's do another B test, which has map as a small one, but then the um list is not a list, it's more like columned out, and we'll see how that interaction goes. So trying and testing all of these. Yeah. So this kind of got taken over by the web team, and they started driving the whole strategy, UX improvement strategy, so to speak. But getting the tech team involved right at the front was the best decision ever. The guys were absolutely brilliant, at least for the app, because the way that the web developers work is quite different from the way that the app developers work. When it's native apps, there's a lot more freedom with the interactions, the fluidity. So they were like really upbeat about this. They did their own research. They're like, Pavi, we can do this. We can improve here. We can do that. I like your journey. Maybe we can do that as well. So they really embraced it and they knew exactly what was coming their way by the time the strategy was even finalized. It was great.
So we're coming to the end. The last question I want to ask you is it's just you talked a lot about the prototyping and you gave a very good example of the story. And I heard like the prototyping, the level of prototyping, low fidelity, mid fidelity, high fidelity, sometimes even extra high fidelity. How do you define the scope? How much prototyping level I need to go, the fidelity level?
I think when you're wireframe stage, you just need to have a general idea. Because see, when you're wireframing, you're trying out different options. If you start to go into
Mhm.
high fidelity for those animations, you're going to get way too engulfed in the details of it. Yeah? Not required. Wireframe is all about exploration. Try different options, permutation, combinations. Maybe stars won't work or stars need to be bigger. It could be anything. You're playing around. You're trying to see what may work. Yeah. And then when you test it out, it's fine if it's like just a prototype and if you're not able to, let's say, if it's add to favorites and you're not able to fill the heart, it's fine if you just show a dot and it just expands into filling the, that's fine. But it is showing some form of animation there. Maybe that's not the end goal. Maybe, you'll have at the end, you'll probably have, when you fill a wine glass, when you're pouring wine, it just like pushes over. Maybe you'll have something like that. That is the next step. But at a wireframe stage, no, just explore. Just go wild. See what catches your fancy, what stakeholders think, what your team members think. That's where the critical thinking comes in. What you do the first time is usually some of the best options, but may not always be the right one. So go on, talk to people. I used to focus on the app in my previous company. So I used to have the prototype on my phone, and I used to just go around the office and say, hey guys, do you want to just try this for me? So then also from an accessibility point of view, is the button too small? And when people click on it, are we really waiting a second so people can see the animation? Once they click on it because their finger is on it, do they even see it? So those are the kind of things that you can actually find out and then get into the high fidelity. And then it's your testing, like how much can the tech guys do? Like even when you're doing your wireframes, once you've narrowed down the kind of animation or micro animation you want to do, a bit of pizzazz that you want to add to the icon, can the tech guys do it? Even if you give them, let's say, a gift, or even if you're able to build out, even if you're able to give them the actual Figma file, this is how I want it, are they able to replicate it that way? Or would they do a damn better job than what you've given them? That's also possible. So, it's always go to the high fidelity later. Once you've narrowed down the exact kind of transition or animation that you want, then go to high fidelity. It's wasting time if you're going high fidelity right away.
So, would you, because we're at the end as a key takeaway, would you mind scoping out the information architecture part too?
What do you mean?
Like how to scope the information architecture? Sometimes you can go for full fledged journeys. Sometimes there won't be like enough requirements, or someone doesn't even know the requirements. You have to do the journey to find the requirements. So, how do you switch? Like, can you give anyone any strategy, like, when to stop, when to decide actually to drop the information architecture altogether? There is no journey map. We need to stop, do the research to find out is it a good way. Or sometimes you have a good requirements. You can like, oh, advertise the app and see where the features are. You can map them out. In another way, like sometimes you do the journey, then they will discover the requirements based on the journey. So how do you know? Like, it's a reverse engineering sometimes.
Right. So even if you don't have the requirements, one way that I have always strived in my way of understanding a journey when you join a company or even when you're working there for years is to continuously audit the journeys. So a product will always have a point A and point B. Yeah. And there are lots of mid level points in between. Any product, if you don't have a point, if you don't have what the product is, what you want the customer to do, then you don't have a product, right? So there is something always. So even if there are no stories, no business cases, no use cases, nothing, you can always take maybe an hour or 2 hours of your day and just go through screen by screen, take screenshots, build out an info architecture map. Then from your own end, begin to show interest in this journey. Seems to, from your own perspective, this journey was very easy, but here I had a problem. I couldn't find this, or I couldn't navigate here, or I kept getting a 404 error on this page. Why is that happening? Our
Mm.
customers also facing this problem. You build cases. The more initiative you take, even if there is nothing, you know, builds your own profile to have that acumen of, oh, she really knows how to how to build cases for UX improvements. And once you find the areas that have lagged for you, you get your product owner involved and say, look, I was trying this out. This is the current journey that I've mapped out, but I found problem areas over here. Could you please step for yourself and let me know what you think? Then they will do it. They will, yes, I think that is a problem. I don't know why this is happening. Okay, now what's the next step? Then you start building, you work through your double diamond process. Okay, now with you as in with the PO, what can I do? What can we do together to ensure that we're able to make a strong enough case that stakeholders will understand and it will show how important this improvement is. Everybody works differently, but this has been my strategy always. Audits. My own little audits, my juniors who join, my team members who join, one of the first tasks that is ever given to them is to go and audit from their perspective. Okay, so my key takeaways for this is work on your storytelling skills, you guys. It's all about engaging with your customers and your stakeholders. Storytelling through improving the journey, storytelling through making business cases for your stakeholders. It is all about storytelling. It's about engaging, getting them interested into what you're trying, the message that you're trying to deliver to them. So work on your storytelling skills. You could give presentations, you could do workshops, you could give talks outside of the company or even within your company if you have show and tells or areas where people can talk about the projects they are currently working on or success stories, go and do that. It's it's all practice, yeah, and it will only make you better. The second thing I'd say is when you're talking about prototyping low fidelity to high fidelity, super high fidelity, let's try and not be a jack of all trades. Yeah. We do things every step of the process and we do it well. But we need to focus on being a specialist in the area that you are most interested in. Yeah. It could be the wireframing or prototyping aspect of X journey. Become absolute specialist at it that everybody wants to come and learn from you. Or they go like, you know, and you're like constantly sharing these little bits of work that you've been doing to enhance, to add delight to the journey or to enhance the journey in itself that the stakeholders are absolutely loving because it's something different. You are improving your skills, you're teaching your peers, your colleagues as well. So you do everything great, but then be a specialist in one area and nail it down. So, doing that actually helps you focus on area that you're really good at, but then will also give you areas to improve upon, which will add to you taking the first step into your, let's say, annual goals. When you are proactive about saying to your manager that, hey, I'm really great at this, but I want to work on understanding the data aspect of X a little bit more. So, can we do around that? So, that means you are prioritizing things that you want to work on that will help you get up the career ladder. So, be strategic about the areas that you want to focus on that will help you up the career, help you get to your career goals. Be like Google Maps. Have a bird's eye view, then you zoom in and you go to terrain, and then you zoom in and you go to street view, and then when you look up, it's two streets. Where do you want to go?
So, this very nice conversation. Thank you so much, Pavitra.